The calendar app that's built into every Mac can be great for coordinating your personal, family, or business schedules. You can create different calendars for different parts of your life. Here in Calendar Preferences and the Accounts pane, we can see that I'm signed into iCloud and both the calendars exist under that account. It's possible to sign in with other cloud services like Google or Microsoft Exchange. In this tutorial, I'll be sticking with iCloud, which is going to sync this calendar with my other Macs and iOS devices. Calendar operates in primarily a single window. In the far upper left, we have a Calendars and Inbox button. Use these to show or hide the Calendars list, or the Inbox, which is going to display invites to events from others and your replies. We'll cover invitations in their own lesson later on. So I currently have two active calendars, Home and Work. The events within each are displayed on the calendar in blue or green. Uncheck a calendar here to hide its events. Under the Other section, I also have birthdays, holidays, and a Siri suggestions calendar. In the General pane of Calendar Preferences, I can choose to show or hide the holidays and birthdays calendars. Your birthdays calendar will pull its information from your Contacts app. Here on January 5th, Jeff Alexander has his 42nd birthday. In the Contacts app, I can see that I have his birthday saved in his contact information. The Siri Suggestions calendar is going to automatically recognize events in other apps, like Mail. These are typically things like a restaurant reservation or a flight. On the top of the calendar window are the View buttons. Day View displays an hour-by-hour list, with the events listed in the color that their calendar is assigned. Click on an event to view its details over to the right. Click and drag on an event to adjust its start time. Click and drag on the top or bottom edge of an event to adjust its start or end time. I'll make today's lunch event a little longer. Notice that the current day is highlighted in red in the calendar above, and the current time is marked by a horizontal line here in Day View. To move to the next or previous day, use the arrow buttons up here, or a two-finger swipe on your trackpad. We can also skip to any day displayed in the calendar up here with a single click. Week View is similar with the hours and days in a grid. In both Day and Week View, we can click and drag events to adjust when they happen. Again, the current day and time are highlighted in red, and weekends are shaded in gray. To move through the weeks, use the arrows or scroll horizontally. To get back to the current day, click the Today button or use the shortcut Command-T. In Week View, we can click and drag on events just like we can in Day View. Next, we have the standard Month View. In this view, we can only drag events from day to day, not by hour. Again, use these arrows to move through the calendar, or just scroll up and down. As you come to a new month, it will snap or catch on the top of the window, so it's easy to flip month to month. The Today button or Command-T is going to jump you back to the current day, highlighted in red. In the upper right of the calendar window is a Spotlight search field. Enter any term here that has to do with an event in your calendars, and you'll get an event list to the right. So if I type in trivia, events that I have scheduled with that in the title appear in the column. Click on a result to view it in the calendar. Finally, we have the Year View. We can scroll or use the arrows to move from year to year. Single click on a day here to view any events scheduled on that day. Double click to view that day in the previous view option, which in my case was month view. If I switch over to day view, then go back to year view and double click on a day, it's going to open up in day view. Next, we'll look at creating new calendars and events. In this lesson, we'll go over how to add events and calendars. There are a few different ways to create a new event. First, we can use the Add button up here to add a quick event. This panel will also pop up when we select New Event from up in the File menu, or use the shortcut Command-N. That applies to any of the calendar views. So let's add a new quick event. Notice the sample here in the text box. Creating events this way lets us use natural language. So I can just enter the event as if I'm speaking it. I'm going to add an event for New Year's Eve fireworks on the 31st at 9 p.m. We get a preview of the event as I enter it. Hit the return key and it's saved into the default calendar, which in this case is my home calendar. Your default calendar is set in the general pane of calendar preferences. Once the event is added, the details panel pops up, which will allow me to add things like a location, alerts, invitees, and more. We'll go over these details in the next lesson. Notice that I could also switch this to my work calendar here. So that's how to add a quick event. We can also add an event here in Calendar View with a simple double click on the date. That brings up the details panel where I can enter the event name and set start and end times for it. Let's remove that event by selecting it and hitting the delete key and move over to week view. In day or week view, we can click and drag to create an event. I'm going to create a staff meeting event that will be scheduled from 2 to 4 p.m. here on the 4th. I'll then switch it to my work calendar. This process will work the same way over in day view. Now let's add a different event that stretches over several days. I'm going to add one called Ski Weekend here in month view and set the start and end time to stretch from the 22nd to the 25th. That looks just how you would expect here in month view. But in week and day view, the event covers the entire calendar, making it difficult to add another event during that time. What I should have done when creating the event was mark it as all day. That moves the event to the top edge of the calendar in week and day view. This allows for other smaller events to be added along with the all-day event. Now let's move to calendars. I have two that I can already add events to, home and work. Right-click to edit the title and the color assigned to each calendar. To add a new calendar, I need to go up to File, New Calendar, or use the shortcut Option Command N. I'm going to call this one Travel and set its color to red. Now when adding new events, I can assign them to this travel calendar. We can also move events that have already been created to the new travel calendar. Uncheck calendars over in the sidebar to hide their events. Right or Control click on a calendar here and we can delete it, share it, which we'll look more at later, or merge it with one of the other available calendars. Organizing your events into different calendars can be a really good way to separate different aspects of your life here in the Calendar app. Once an event has been created, it's possible to add a variety of details along with it. To add details to an event, just double-click on it in the calendar to bring up the Details panel. Let's start with a location. If I enter the name Jeff here, the first result is the address of Jeff Alexander, who I have saved as a contact. Below that are search suggestions that come up when the term Jeff is entered. Let's switch this now to Ann Morrison. Now the first result is Ann Morrison Park, which is the correct address for this event. Select it, and the full address is added and it's displayed on a map below. We even get the predicted weather displayed for the day of the event. Click to view the event's location in the Maps app. Click in the next section of the Details panel, and we can edit the start and end time, or mark this as an all-day event. We can also set the event to repeat, which we're going to skip for now. In the Travel Time menu, the app has already calculated how long it's going to take to get to the event location by driving, transit, or by walking. If a location is not entered above, you won't see these estimates. I'm going to be driving. In the next menu, we can set an alert. This has already been set to time to leave, which has taken into account the travel time above. We can also choose to be alerted before the travel time in order to get out the door when needed. Choose Custom here, and we can select exactly when to be alerted and how. We can even choose to receive an email alert for the event here. Now let's move over to the staff meeting event in my work calendar. If this meeting happens regularly, say once a month, I can quickly set it to repeat each month on the 4th here. But we actually have this meeting on the first Monday of each month. To set that up, I need to choose Custom here in the Repeat menu. Then click the On The button and set this to the first Monday of each month. The repeat options in here are pretty flexible, so most any repeating event can be scheduled this way. Now the next staff meeting is going to occur on Monday, February 1st. In the next field, we can add invitees, which we'll cover in the next lesson. At the bottom, we have a field for notes, which is just a standard text field that I can type into or paste a chunk of text into. Due to this being a repeating event, when I add that note, Calendar asks if it should be applied to only this staff meeting event or all of its upcoming occurrences. I'll add it to only this event. We can also add a URL or web address that will appear as a clickable link here in the Details panel. And finally, we can attach files to an event. Once attached, the files can then be opened or previewed from right here in the Event Details panel. So Calendar allows us to add a lot of different information to an event that will be available when you need it. Adding invitees to an event will alert those that receive the invite about the event, and if they accept the invitation, add that event to their calendar as well. So let's add an invitee to the staff meeting event. I'm going to enter the name Drew, who's saved in my contacts. You could also add email addresses or phone numbers for people not already saved as a contact. Since this is a recurring event, I can choose to add this invitee for just this specific meeting or all of them in the future. I'm going to choose all. Now I can continue adding invitees or click to send. Over on Drew's iPhone, in his calendar app, there's now a message down in the inbox. Drew can view the details of the event, see who the invite is from, and see that this is a recurring event. Then accept, decline, or reply maybe to the invite. Let's accept it. Back over on the Mac, we can see that Drew accepted that invite from here in the event and from the calendar inbox. Now let's send an invite from Drew's iPhone to Warren over on the Mac. We'll invite him to this night ski event here on Drew's iPhone. Once that's sent, over in Mac Calendar, the invite is displayed here in the inbox, where I can accept, decline, or reply maybe. If I decline the event, it's removed from my calendar, and Drew's going to be alerted that I've declined. Over in the Replied tab of the inbox, I still have access to the invite. So if I change my mind, I can still switch my reply to maybe or accept. Change to maybe, and the icon next to Warren's invite on the iPhone changes to a question mark. Switch again to accept, and that icon becomes a green check mark. Now let's go back to the staff meeting details and remove an invite. That's going to change the event to canceled over on the iPhone since Drew is no longer invited, displaying it in a faded gray. Sending and replying to invites can be a great way to add coworkers, friends, or family to events. The Calendar app makes it easy to share an entire calendar with specific individuals that you choose, or as a public calendar available to anyone that has the link to it. We can share a calendar by selecting it, then clicking the little share button that should appear to the right. Then in the Share With field, we can add a person. This will work just like adding an invitee. I'm going to share this with Drew. Click on the down arrow next to Drew S here, and we can then choose to let him both view and edit the shared calendar, or only be able to view it. I'll allow him to edit it. Tap Done and the invite is sent. Over on Drew's iPhone, he can then choose to join the shared calendar or decline. Tap Join and it's now added into his calendar list. So now both those with access to this shared calendar will be able to add, remove, and edit any of the events within it. Now let's make the travel calendar public. Once activated, a link is created that then can be shared or copied. I'm going to share this link with Drew via messages. Now from the Messages app on Drew's iPhone, he just needs to tap on the link to subscribe to that public calendar. When subscribed to a calendar, you're not going to be able to edit or add events to it. You can only view the events added by the owner, which in this case is Warren over on the Mac. To stop the calendar from being publicly available, just uncheck it here. One of the best ways to find public calendars is from a website. Here on the Chicago Bulls website, they have a link to the team's schedule as a calendar. So I can click to add the calendar and select the Apple link. No need to send them my email, so I'll skip this. And now I have the Bulls schedule saved as a calendar. This subscribed calendar resides in my iCloud account, so it's going to appear on my other iCloud-enabled devices as well. Notice that the holidays calendar is also one that I'm subscribed to. The difference with this is we can turn its subscription on or off from calendar preferences. The website iCalShare.com has a nice variety of public calendars available. We're able to subscribe to things like American history events, moon phases, or the NASA launch schedule. Set the calendar location to on my Mac, and it'll only appear on this device. It won't sync with my other iCloud devices. Sharing calendars can be really useful for syncing schedules with a spouse or coworker, or if you're just wanting to know when the next game is for your favorite sports team. In macOS Big Sur and later, we can add a calendar widget to our Today view on the Mac. To invoke Today view, swipe in with 2 fingers from the right edge of your trackpad. Currently, I have a large weather widget along with a small notes and reminders widget. Click Edit here to add or remove widgets. Like most others, the calendar widget is available in 3 sizes and will display your upcoming events. Let's start with a medium calendar widget. Once that's added, I can click to edit the widget. Currently, this is mirroring my calendar app, so any calendar that's activated over in the app is going to be displayed in the widget. If I turn on the Bulls schedule calendar, tonight's game will then appear in the widget. But we can also edit the widget to only display events from specific calendars by turning off the Mirror Calendar app toggle. So now if I only want to display the events in my work calendar in this widget, I could deactivate all the other calendars. Click on an event in the widget to open it up in the Calendar app. Now let's add a separate large calendar widget and edit it to only display the home, travel, holidays, and birthdays calendars. Again, just click to view an event in the Calendar app. We're not able to edit, add, or remove events using the widget. It's just a quick and easy way to view your upcoming events. With Siri, we can schedule or reschedule events, as well as view upcoming calendar events just with voice commands. Let's start with scheduling a new event with Siri here on the Mac. I'll click on the Siri button up in the menu bar, then make my event. Set up lunch tomorrow with Mike and Michelle at 1 p.m.
Okay, I set up your appointment with Mike B. and Michelle F. for tomorrow. Ready to schedule it?
Yes.
Your appointment with Mike B. and Michelle F. is scheduled for tomorrow from 1 p.m. to 2 p.m.
So that created a new event for tomorrow at 1 p.m. and added the 2 invitees. I said setup to begin that command, but I also could have said schedule or create an event. Using terms like these will make sure that Siri knows that you want to create a calendar event. Now let's reschedule that lunch over to Wednesday. Reschedule tomorrow's lunch to Wednesday at noon.
Your appointment called lunch will be on Wednesday from 12 p.m. to 1 p.m. Ready to update it? I scheduled your appointment with Warren S., Mike B., and Michelle F. for Wednesday from 12 p.m. to 1 p.m.
That moves the event over to Wednesday at the specified time. I could, of course, still manually edit the event. Now let's view some upcoming events with a Siri command. Show my calendar for January.
You have 14 appointments last Friday to February 1st, 2021.
That lets me scroll through the events in the panel that pops up. Click on an event to view its details in the calendar app. Now I'll do a similar command, just set a different way. And this time I'll use Hey Siri rather than clicking on the Siri button. Hey Siri, show me next week's events.
You have 4 appointments between next Monday and January 17th, 2021.
So don't forget that Siri can be a quick way to add, adjust, find, and view your calendar events. Mac's Calendar app is pretty flexible if you choose to print calendars. If I go to File, Print, I'm presented with a menu that has several options. We can select from 5 different views in this first menu: Day, Week, Month, List, and Selected Events. The first 3 will look just like the views that are available in your regular calendar window. We can also choose a list option that will print out your events chronologically. Below, we can select the time range of the calendar that gets printed out. I'm going to select to start from tomorrow and then end on the 30th. To the left, we get a preview of exactly what that will look like on the page. Now let's switch to month view, and I'm going to set this to start from this month and print through the end of this year, 2021. Below, we can choose which calendars to include in the printout. I'm going to keep my home, work, and travel calendars along with birthdays and holidays. The options checkboxes here let us set what type of events that we want to see in the printout, along with extras like the mini calendar and calendar color keys. So I could remove all day events, hide the mini calendar in the upper right, or check black and white to save some color ink. Switch the text size here to big to make the text in the calendar a little easier to read. Click Continue, and on the next page, we can select our printer, choose how many copies to print, and preview all the pages. Click Print to send it to the printer, or the entire calendar could be saved as a PDF file here. To print only selected events, I first need to select some events in my calendar. When I have those ready, I'll press Command P to print, and then set the View menu to selected events. Those events will then appear in list view when printed. Scheduled reminders can now be viewed, edited, and created in the Mac Calendar app. Let's begin in the Reminders app. Currently, I have 6 scheduled reminders. These will be the only reminders that appear in Calendar. Click on All Reminders, and we can see that scheduled reminders have a date and time displayed below them, which makes them a good fit to appear in our Calendar app. Here under Projects, there are 2 standard reminders, which aren't going to be displayed in Calendar. Same goes for my grocery list here in Reminders. Over in the Calendar app, in the Month view, reminders appear with a circle to the left of their name. This can be clicked to mark the reminder as completed. If I mark this reminder completed in Calendar, it's completed in the Reminders app as well. From the Calendar sidebar, we can show or hide scheduled reminders just like any other calendar. From up in the View menu, we can decide whether or not to display our completed reminders here in Calendar. Click on the Add button up here, and we can now add a new event or a reminder. I find it easier to add a new event or reminder with a right or control click on the calendar itself. In this panel, we have all the same inputs for a new reminder as we do in the Reminders app. We can create a location-based reminder here, but it has to occur on a specific day to exist in Calendar. So rather than getting a reminder to pick up mail at a specific time, it's just going to happen when I leave work today. That reminder is added here in Calendar and in my Reminders app. Switch to week or day view in Calendar, and we can see that events can occupy chunks of time within your calendar. Reminders will only occupy one line. So that can be a good way to decide if you want to create a new event or a new reminder, whether or not it's going to take up a significant enough amount of time to block that off in your calendar. Having events and reminders visible in a single place lets us see everything that's scheduled for our day, week, or month. For more on how to use each of these apps for Mac or iOS, take a look at their individual tutorials.